Congratulations on your appointment to the Council's Scientific and Statistical Committee. I'm Emily Muehlstein, a member of the Gulf Council staff, and I'm going to lead you through a quick orientation on what it is to be a Scientific and Statistical Committee member. You may have some questions about what to do and what to expect as an SSC member, and hopefully this next few minutes will answer some of those questions. We'll start with the basics. The SSC typically meets 5 times a year for 3 days at a time. Tentative dates are always set in advance, and sometimes there's additional meetings that might be necessary. Those additional meetings usually last 1 day or less and are held via webinar. Standing SSC members attend all of the SSC meetings, and special SSC members only attend the meetings that are associated with their specialty. Once an SSC meeting date is set, the Council's travel coordinator will contact you with a meeting notice and instructions on how to make your hotel and flight arrangements. A meeting authorization will be issued to you, and it tells you how much you can spend per day on hotel and food. Your flights should be booked through our travel agency AdTrav, and you need to make sure that your travel plans allow for full participation in the SSC meeting itself. You'll also receive a travel expense report to get paid back for your travel. Make sure that your claim is submitted within 60 days of your travel. Please be sure to fill out your name, your address, the dates and times that you are on Council business, and don't forget to sign the form. Under the remarks sections of the form, please explain if your travel methods somehow deviate from the most direct or the most cost-effective means of travel. Also pay attention to Section E. That's where you need to put your lodging taxes, which is separate from your per diem hotel rate. If you feel as though you might need a rental car, that has to be pre-approved by our office. And then once you get it all filled out, you can scan an email, you can fax, or you can just snail mail in your travel expense report. So your travel days will not be compensated. You will be paid $300 for each meeting day that you attend in person. If you're doing a webinar, you will be paid $300 for a webinar lasting more than 4 hours, or $150 for webinars lasting less than 4 hours. So let's move into a little bit more about the Council itself. The Council is made up of the Regional Administrator of NOAA Fisheries, the Directors of the 5 Gulf State Marine Resource Management Agencies, and then 11 members of the public who represent different interests in the fishery. There's commercial fishermen, for-hire fishermen, private anglers, fish house owners, academics, and those people are nominated by each Gulf State governor and then selected or appointed by the Secretary of Commerce for 3-year terms. Ultimately, Congress is in control of fisheries management. They created the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation Act, which governs NOAA and the Gulf Council. So NOAA is responsible for the science and also for implementation of fisheries management regulations. The Gulf Council uses that scientific advice from NOAA to craft fisheries management recommendations. As an SSC member, it will be your role to review the science that the Gulf Council is using to make policy. There are 10 national standards required by the Magnuson-Stevens Act. The first is to prevent overfishing while achieving optimum yield. The second is to use the best scientific information available to make management decisions. The third is to manage stocks as a unit whenever possible. The fourth is to allocate fairly and equitably and promote conservation and prevent excessive shares by individuals in the fishery. The fifth is to consider efficiency, but not to base management solely on economic allocation. The sixth is to consider and allow for variations among fisheries, fishery resources, and catches. The seventh is to minimize cost and to avoid duplication. The eighth is to provide for sustained participation by fishing communities. The ninth is to the extent practicable to minimize bycatch and bycatch mortality. And the final national standard is to the extent practicable promote safety at sea. Now we'll move into the Scientific and Statistical Committee itself and your role in the management of our fisheries. So the SSCs are groups of individuals that have varying experience and expertise who are responsible for advising the Council on the technical aspect of fisheries in the Gulf of Mexico. As an SSC member, you are here to contribute to a dialogue using your expertise to advise the Council so that fisheries management decisions can be based on the best scientific information available. Your responsibility as a scientific and statistical committee will be to review and comment on the scientific adequacy of statistical, biological, economic, and social information that's used in development of fisheries management plans and fishery management plan amendments. You will provide ongoing scientific and technical advice on preventing overfishing, achieving rebuilding targets, stock status and health, social and economic impacts of management, and the sustainability of fishing practices. You will also be responsible for recommending the acceptable biological catch and overfishing limits that take into account scientific uncertainty for each of the managed stocks or groups of stocks. You will comment on scientific and socioeconomic consequences of accountability measures and also recommend research priorities. Some logistics on how the SSC itself functions. You will be given an agenda and background material prior to the meeting. There will be a staff member from the Gulf Council along with a council member at the SSC meeting. The committee will select a chairman to facilitate their meetings, and then the committee will make recommendations to the council by passing motions using Robert's Rules of Order. Once you finish your meeting, a summary report will be generated by the staff member present. Then a representative from the SSC itself will present that to the appropriate council committee at a council meeting. The council committee will then make recommendations to full council, and then full council will decide what action to take after considering those committee recommendations. So that concludes our quick orientation. I would like to encourage you to join our community. We produce a blog, we have a fishing regulations app, there is a newsletter that you can sign up for on our website. We also produce a number of different videos on the amendments that we are considering, and we're also on Facebook where you can go and like us. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to contact us at golfcouncil@golfcouncil.org.